Hey guys, it's Chaos here making another video for you. By the way, if anybody wants to know how I created this look for our storytelling today, please follow me on TikTok, Chaos K. I have a tutorial on there for you. Today we're doing the history of Sleeping Beauty, which I know everybody loves. The Disney version, fluffy fairy tale. This is not that. The original story was not a kid's story at all. And please, I would just like to put a little disclaimer out here. If you are disturbed by cannibalism or sexual assault on a female, shut this video off now. Anyways, we're going to start with the first known version of Sleeping Beauty, which is said to have started around 1330. Of course, we don't have the printing press until the 15th century. So this is the best we have is according to word of mouth, ancient folklore. In this story, her name is Princess Celandine. When she's born, of course, there's that party that we have in the original Disney version. However, at this party, there's no fairies. There's 3 goddesses. For whatever reason, at some point during the party, one of the goddesses becomes annoyed by something, and she's like, I don't like that baby anymore. Like, I'm going to curse her. But I dislike her so much that I don't really want the curse to kick in until she's grown. So I'm going to allow her to grow up, and then when she grows up, eternal sleep. Boom. Curse, baby. She probably cried or something. I mean, I don't think that she was invited to any more parties after that.
What?
But she kind of goes away after that in that story. The prince's name is Troilus in this story, and the story kind of fast forwards until they fall in love, and Troilus goes out of town, and Sleeping Beauty kind of wanders around trying to find something to do, and ends up pricking her finger on a spinning wheel. Darn, a piece of flax ends up in her finger. Passes out. Over for it. Eternal sleep. Her father is just so distraught. The king thinks, you know what? There's only one thing we can do here. Get her naked, build her a tower, and lay her in a bed in there. I mean, to protect her. I mean, she has to be naked for protection. Duh. So Troilus comes home. He's like, man, what's going on with my woman? He ends up getting helped up to the tower. And when he gets up there, he's like, dang, she's just not doing well at all. The goddess Venus is just chilling in there with Sleeping Beauty. I mean, not really sure why she's there, but when he gets there and he's like, man, she's asleep. It's like, she's going to be asleep for a long time, eternity and stuff. It's crazy. Venus is like, I mean, she's here. You're here. She's naked. I mean, you thinking what I'm thinking? He's like, giggity, giggity. Of course he takes advantage of her. Why wouldn't he? And then he just kind of like goes out of town again. She's pregnant because of the sexual assault that he put on her while she was completely asleep. She gives birth to that baby completely asleep, which I give her tons of credit for that. The baby is being helped by one of the goddesses to the bosom in order to eat. The baby mistakes her finger for her bosom and sucks that flaxseed out. Whoop! Good news, she's awake. Hey! So she wakes up, she's confused. I mean, obviously, you were over here playing around the castle while your husband was on a trip, and all of a sudden you wake up and you have a baby. And I mean, I guess that shock couldn't last long because all of a sudden, for no apparent reason, a bird flies in through the tower window and takes the baby and flies away. And we never see that baby again in the story. I'm not sure why it happened at all, but that's what it says. Then Prince comes back to town, thinking, oh my goodness, you're awake. Happily ever after. That's it. Forget the baby. Happily ever after. Version 1. Version 2 is an Italian version. That one came about 1634. There's no evil fairy in this one. There's no goddesses. And this one is just basically a fortune teller. The king has his daughter, takes her to a fortune teller. He's like, hey, can you tell me how things are going to be for my baby? Like, what's going to happen in her life? And the fortune teller is just like, bad news. She's just going to die, bro. I mean, maybe not die, just eternal sleep. Sorry. $21.50. I'm just kidding. I don't know how much it cost. But anyways, so, obviously he was a little upset about that, but it kind of fast forwards until she's about 15 years old and just for no apparent reason, falls asleep. No spinning wheel. No forest, whatever. Put her in the tower. Naked. Conveniently, Prince wanders around and finds her. There's no Venus in this one. He just thinks, why not? What else am I supposed to do? I'm here. Who wouldn't? Just take advantage of her. It makes sense. And then go back out of town. Back home to your whole kingdom and queen. Whole queen at home, guys, over here. Taking advantage of sleeping ladies. Getting them pregnant with twins in this version. Twins. And just piecing out. She gives birth, again in this story, completely asleep to twins. The real MVP, I'm telling you. And same thing. Fairies are taking care of the babies, leading them to the bosoms. Oh, one's like, oh, no. Thought it was the nipple, but it was a finger. Well, thank goodness. The black seed's out and mom's awake. All of a sudden, the king is like, wonder whatever happened to that sleeping girl. Gave it to. Wonder how she's doing. I wonder if she's still in that tower. Obviously, I should go back and check, right? And he gets here and he's like, oh, wow, we have babies. Well, you know what? I just can't leave you and these babies up here in this tower. They're mine. Why don't you just come back with me in my kingdom? My wife probably won't be cool with it. So I'm going to have to put you in the safe house and hide you. But I got a room for you, girl. Come on. Bring my babies. So they go on to the castle and everything's fine and dandy until one day, the queen found out. She wasn't too happy. So pissed off, she says, you know what? Cook. This is what I need you to do. I want you to go take those babies and I want you to cook them. Feed them to my husband in a pie when he gets home. That's what I need you to do. The cook's like, all right, I got you. But he really couldn't do it. So he went, killed the animal, put it in the pie, fed it to the king. Wife's like, you know what, that's just not good enough, bro. I'm going to need to tell you too. Cook her up. Give my husband that little sweet sugar bunny in a pie. He obviously can't do it. Goes, gets a bigger animal, puts it in a pie, feeds the king. Queen's all good with it, smug with herself, until all of a sudden, what was that? Is that girl laughing that I hear on my property? The one that I thought I fed to my husband and the kid? All right, you know what? I'm gonna need you to come here, girl. So she goes, takes Talia, builds a big fire. And she says, I'm gonna burn you at the stake. What else would you do? She was sleeping with your husband. Sleeping Beauty tries to tell her, like, girl, I was asleep. I didn't even know about you. I didn't even tell him it was okay. This is him, girl. It has nothing to do with me. Please don't burn me at the stake. Queen's like, look, girl, I'm not trying to hear any of your excuses. Get your body on my stake. And of course, like any rational damsel in distress, Sleeping Beauty falls to her knees and begs the queen, please just let me take my clothes off first. Girl, I get you. Can't get burned on the stake with your clothes on. What's she thinking? Well, thank God she bought herself enough time, okay? Because now the king comes home. And he does not like that homegirl's trying to burn side chick at the stake. So she's like, you know what? I don't care if you like it or not, because you ate your babies. I had them cooked in a pie. How they taste? The cook's like, actually, it was a lamb. Gives her in the back. And the king's like, you know what, girl? I think I might have to trade you in for a new model. Throws the queen into the steak. Yes. And then they live happily ever after. You guessed it. That's the second version. The third version, in 1697, we're going back to France. In this version, there's no name for Sleeping Beauty. I mean, she doesn't apparently need a name. She's just princess. There's 7 fairies in this story, and they didn't invite the 8th fairy to the famous party. Like, now we're starting to get a little bit more to, like, the Disney version. I mean, but it's really not their fault that they didn't invite the 8th fairy, because she didn't leave her house in 50 years. So they thought she was dead. I mean, it wasn't on purpose. But she wasn't dead, obviously. And when she found out she didn't get an invitation, she was a little bit annoyed about it. So she showed up to the party like, you know what? I got a gift for her. Death, you're welcome. One of the fairies speaks up like, my wish is that death doesn't happen. She just sleeps for 100 years. That's all. And then it'll be over. Fast forward. Sleeping Beauty pricks her finger on a spinning wheel, falls asleep. 100 years later, the prince just kind of wanders up. I mean, the thorns that grew around there in the 100 years kind of started to separate for him. So he was like, you know what, I think I'm just going to keep checking it out. He gets up there and she just kind of woke up. He didn't have to kiss her because, I mean, it's been 100 years. It's only supposed to last 100 years. So she didn't need to be saved. She didn't need to be sexually assaulted in this version. Just wakes up and, you know, good news, there's a prince there. So the prince kind of like, you know, keeps coming back and forth and seeing her. He keeps going back to his kingdom. He doesn't really want his mom to know about her because apparently his mom's an ogress. All right. His dad married her for money. I mean, things were tough in the kingdom. So, I mean, sometimes you have to marry an ogress if you're going to stay rich. So, I guess he did. And the prince, I mean, clearly doesn't want to introduce his beautiful wife to his ogress mother. So he thinks, I'm just going to keep sneaking back and forth between my kingdom and your kingdom until one day the mom's like, you know what? I just really don't understand where my son keeps disappearing to. Okay, so I'm going to have one of the servants that's going with him. Let me know what the heck is going on. Servant's like, look, honey, I didn't mean to spill the tea, but he's got a whole wife and kids over in that other kingdom. She's like, oh, you know what? And this boy is always hiding things from me. I'm not playing. I'm going to have to have you bring me them kids so I can put them in my giant cauldron full of reptiles and snakes. And I'm going to need to put them in there. They're going to need to get eaten. So, of course, you know, servant does what he's told, goes, grabs the kids. Right as they're about to go in the cauldron. Oh, thank goodness. The prince shows up and pushes his mom into the cauldron instead. End of story. They live happily ever after. It's beautiful, isn't it? Pick her up. All you had to do was throw mom in the cauldron. Live happy ever after. All that sneaking for nothing. Then we go up to the 1800s. Somewhere between 1800 and 1850. That's where the Brothers Grimm, there's several versions in between there. And that is going back to a German version of the story. That one has 12 fairies in it. Maleficent is the 13th fairy. Of course, she doesn't have a name. And basically everything else in that story is the same as the previous version that we just discussed, except for it wasn't that she wasn't invited because she had been in her house for 50 years and they thought they were dead. I mean, she just wasn't invited because, girl, they only had enough gold plate settings for everybody. Somebody had to draw the short straw. Just happened to be you. I guess next time they'll have to not invite another fairy because, I mean, she got pissed off enough to start curses and stuff. So, and that story is pretty much the same except for there's, that's the first story where True Love's first kiss wakes her up. I hope you guys enjoyed this little history lesson, or history in the folklore of Sleeping Beauty. Of course, it's not like the Disney version. I hope I didn't ruin it for anybody, but I thought it was fun. I am going to do another video on The Little Mermaid for my next one, and we will have another crazy makeup art tutorial on that as well. So please don't forget to follow me, guys. Like, subscribe to my channel, comment below if you have any other versions that you heard that you want to talk about. And everybody have an awesome day. We'll see you in our next video.